Shalom, I'm Angel. Welcome to Healthy in Heart. I want to talk today a little about something that has been flooding social media and the news outlets for a little over a couple weeks, and it's called Cyclospora Parasite. An alert about this parasite landed in my inbox this morning, and it came from emergencyemail.org, and it warned about contamination in fresh vegetables. It was very grounded and very logical, and also very short. I love emergencyemail.org. I loved it because their information is short and sweet and to the point. Anyway, not all sources of information are like that. So, perhaps you've received a similar headline that's crossed your feed this week. Meanwhile, social media posts are urging people to abandon salad altogether. The outbreak is real. However, the fear that's traveling beside it deserves its own examination. Therefore, I want to separate the two. What the Cyclospora parasite actually is, it's Cyclospora cayetanensis. It causes an intestinal illness called cyclosporasis. This microscopic parasite spreads through food or water that's been contaminated with human waste. Poor sanitation in growing fields is often the culprit because it creates an opening for the food to come into contact with human waste. Notably, the parasite does not spread from person to person. Instead, outbreaks trace back to a shared food source, always. Symptoms include watery diarrhea, cramping, nausea, fatigue, and weight loss. Untreated, they can persist for weeks. Fortunately, though, a common antibiotic will clear the infection. So if you have symptoms and they linger, contact your primary care physician. Now, let's look at the numbers. The CDC confirms that there are more than 800 domestic cases across 31 states since May the 1st. Additionally, officials are investigating over 1,500 suspected cases. Some reporting places the combined total above 2,000. Hospitalizations have passed 80. Meanwhile, officials have reported 0 deaths. So as far as outbreaks go, it's pretty small by some of the ones that we had in the past. Michigan actually carries the heaviest burden by far. New York, Ohio, Illinois, and Florida are very close on Michigan's heels, though. Yet, investigators have not named a single grower, supplier, or product as the culprit. Past outbreaks involved imported produce such as raspberries, basil, cilantro, and leafy greens. This one, however, remains unsolved. So, where does the fear-mongering begin? Everywhere. But this is where discernment matters the most. Some coverage implies that every fruit and vegetable now threatens your health. The evidence does not support that claim. Public health agencies issue advisories for specific implicated products. They do not tell the public to abandon fresh produce. Another distortion involves freezing. Admittedly, freezing will not kill the Cyclospora parasite. Even so, the current outbreak points to fresh produce alone. Officials have issued no warning about frozen fruit or vegetables. A quieter problem also feeds the panic because the source remains unknown, which causes worry to rush in to fill the gap. An unnamed threat feels larger than a named recall. And that reaction is totally human. Still, a clear head will serve you better than a racing one. And so you can reduce your risk from the Cyclospora parasite. You're not helpless. First, wash all of your produce thoroughly under running water. Washing alone will not remove the Cyclospora parasite completely. Neither will baking soda and vinegar or salt washes. Even so, it will lower your exposure. scrub the produce well. Next, cut away bruised or damaged spots. Peel anything where peeling makes sense. Additionally, keep raw produce away from ready-to-eat foods. Refrigerate cut and pre-prepared produce promptly. Scrub your hands with soap before you handle food. Above all, cook your produce when you can. Proper cooking kills the parasite outright. Therefore, a cooked vegetable carries far less risk than a raw one. Finally, follow any recall the moment officials announce it. So we need to keep the risk in proportion. Now consider what the fear leaves out. Many people eat produce daily for decades without ever meeting this parasite. In an average year, the country records several thousand cases. Meanwhile, hundreds of millions of Americans eat fruits and vegetables every single day. Cyclospora is unpleasant and sometimes stubborn, but it's also uncommon. Then weigh that against what produce gives you. Researchers link fruits and vegetables to lower rates of heart disease and stroke. They also connect produce to reduce type 2 diabetes, several cancers, and early death. Abandoning all of that over a rare infection makes for a very poor trade. So I'm of the Logitarian mindset. And this is where the Logitarian mindset becomes more than a philosophy, it becomes a way of living. A Logitarian seeks truth before reaction. Rather than allowing fear, headlines, or social media to dictate behavior, a Logitarian asks better questions. What do we actually know? What remains uncertain? What evidence supports this claim? What response is proportionate to the risk? That approach neither ignores danger nor exaggerates it. It recognizes that wisdom lives between complacency and panic. The goal is not to eliminate every possible risk. That's not even possible. But the goal is to make decisions grounded in truth, reason, and discernment. The Cyclospora outbreak reminds us that information deserves examination before it deserves our fear. The Logitarian mindset begins with a simple conviction. Reality is a better guide than fear. When uncertainty appears, a Logitarian resists the urge to react first and think later. Instead, we gather the facts. We acknowledge what we know, admit what we don't know, and choose the wisest response available. We neither dismiss legitimate warnings, but we also don't magnify them beyond what the evidence proves. So that balance matters. Fear will cloud your judgment. Reason without humility will become arrogance. But truth that is examined carefully and acted upon wisely produces confidence instead of panic. The Cyclospora parasite is real. So are the practical steps that reduce your risk. Both can be true at the same time. The garden still teaches. Genesis 1:29 records Jehovah giving the seed-bearing plants and the fruit trees as food. That blueprint has not changed. The ground still yields good things. Moreover, prudence never opposes that gift. Proverbs 22:3 says the prudent see danger and take cover. The simple keep walking and suffer for it. Prudence washes the lettuce. Fear throws out the whole garden. So what is a grounded response? We do need to take this outbreak seriously. But the grounded response is to wash your produce, cook it whenever you can, watch for recalls, and see a provider if illness strikes. Then keep eating the food your body was made to run on. Think clearly, stand firm, live grounded. Until next time, remember to stay healthy in heart.